Trapped in ice for 497 days. The true story of survival. The year is 1914. The world is teetering on the edge of the Great War. Europe is a powder keg waiting for a spark. But while the eyes of the world turn toward the trenches of France, one man is looking south. Sir Ernest Shackleton. His ambition is bordering on madness. He doesn't just want to reach the South Pole. That has already been done. He wants to cross the entire Antarctic continent on foot. It is the last great prize of the heroic age of exploration. Legend says he placed an ad in the newspaper that read, "Men wanted for hazardous journey. Small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful. Honor and recognition in case of success." Whether the ad was real or a myth, the result was very real. 5,000 men applied. Only 27 were chosen. On August 8th, their ship, the Endurance, slips out of Plymouth. She is built of massive Norwegian fir and oak, designed to smash through ice. She is the strongest wooden ship ever built. But she is heading toward a place where wood and steel mean nothing against the crushing power of nature. By December, the Endurance battles her way into the Weddell Sea. This is the most treacherous stretch of ocean on Earth. The water here creates a whirlpool of ice that rotates clockwise, trapping anything that enters. The crew fights for every mile. They use the ship as a battering ram, smashing into the floes, backing up, and smashing again. But the Antarctic summer is unusually cold. The temperature drops. The leads of open water begin to vanish. On January 18th, 1915, just days away from their landing site, the wind shifts. The ice closes in around the ship like a vice. The Endurance is beset. She isn't damaged, but she is immovable. Stuck fast in a frozen landscape that stretches for hundreds of miles in every direction. Shackleton realizes the truth immediately. The mission is over. The goal is no longer crossing the continent. The goal is now simply to stay alive. They prepare to winter in the ice, hoping that when spring comes, the thaw will release them. They do not know that the ice will never let them go. Months pass. The sun sets in May and does not rise again until August. The crew lives in the long night of the Antarctic winter. They play football on the ice. They hold elaborate dinners. They pretend everything is normal. But beneath their feet, the ocean is waking up. As spring approaches in October, the pressure begins. Millions of tons of ice are shifting, and the Endurance is in the way. The sound is terrifying. The crew describes it as the sound of heavy fireworks and naval guns. The ship groans and screams as her massive timbers are snapped like matchsticks. On October 27th, Shackleton gives the order. "She's going, boys. It's time to get off." They unload the lifeboats, the food, and the sleeping bags onto the frozen floe. From a safe distance, they watch as the pride of the British fleet is chewed up and swallowed by the Weddell Sea. They are now 28 men standing on a drifting sheet of ice, thousands of miles from civilization, with no radio, no ship, and no way for the world to know they are still alive. For the next 5 months, the 28 men become castaways on a frozen raft. They establish Ocean Camp, and later, Patience Camp. It is a life of agonizing monotony. They drift slowly north with the current, sleeping in wet sleeping bags, eating seal meat and blubber. The psychological strain is immense. They are living on a crust of ice less than 6 feet thick over the deep ocean. At night, they can hear killer whales blowing in the leads of open water nearby. The floe is constantly cracking beneath them, forcing them to move their tents in the middle of the night. Supplies begin to dwindle. Shackleton is forced to make the hardest decision of his life. To save food for the men, he orders the expedition's sled dogs, their faithful companions for over a year, to be shot. It is a dark day that breaks the hearts of the crew. By April 1916, the ice they are living on begins to disintegrate. The massive floe splits in two, right through the middle of the camp. The ocean is coming for them. It is no longer solid enough to camp on, but the waves are too rough to launch the boats. They are trapped in a deadly limbo. On April 9th, the moment comes. The ice floe shatters. There is a frantic scramble to load the 3 small lifeboats, the James Caird, the Dudley Docker, and the Stancomb Wills. They launch into a nightmare. For 7 days, they battle the open ocean. These are 20-foot open boats, designed for short trips to shore, not for navigating the wildest seas on the planet. They are constantly soaked in freezing spray. The temperature is 0. The men are suffering from frostbite, salt water boils, and severe dehydration because fresh water is scarce. At night, they try to sleep on the thwarts of the boats, huddled together for warmth as waves crash over them. One night, Shackleton spots a line of white in the darkness. He calls out to the men that the weather is clearing. A moment later, he realizes it isn't the sky clearing. It is a rogue wave. A massive wall of water strikes the boats. They bail for their lives, scooping water out with sleeping bags and cooking pots. By a miracle, they stay afloat. But they are reaching their breaking point. Some of the men are beginning to lose their minds. On April 15th, through the mist, they see black cliffs. Land. They steer the battered boats through a reef and collapse onto a rocky beach on Elephant Island. It is the first time in 497 days that they have stood on solid ground. The men are delirious with joy. They drink from a glacial stream and laugh hysterically, letting the pebbles run through their fingers. But as the adrenaline fades, the grim reality sets in. Elephant Island is a desolate rock. It is far outside any shipping lanes. No radio works here. No search party will ever look here. The winter is approaching again. They have limited food, and the island offers almost no shelter from the katabatic winds screaming off the glaciers. If they stay here, they will starve and freeze, one by one. Shackleton looks at his exhausted men and the damaged boats. He realizes there is only one card left to play: a suicide mission. He must take one of the small lifeboats and sail it across the worst ocean in the world to find help. The decision is made. Shackleton will take 5 men: Worsley, Crean, McNeish, McCarthy, and Vincent, and sail for South Georgia. It is an island 800 miles away across the most turbulent ocean on the planet. If they miss the island, the next landfall is Africa, 3,000 miles away. Survival would be impossible. The ship's carpenter, Chippy McNeish, works miracles on the beach. He takes the 22-foot lifeboat, the James Caird, and raises the sides with scraps of wood from packing crates. He stretches canvas across the top to create a makeshift deck, sealing the seams with wick from oil lamps and makeshift sealants, as they have no pitch or tar. It looks fragile. It is fragile. But it is their only chance. On Easter Monday, April 24th, 1916, they launch. The 22 men left behind on Elephant Island stand on the desolate beach and cheer, watching the tiny boat disappear into the grey mist. Many of them silently wonder if they will ever see their friends again. Shackleton later wrote, "The boat tossed in the seething chaos of water, but she was alive. They are alone now, a speck of wood in a universe of water." The journey of the James Caird is widely considered the greatest small boat voyage ever sailed. For 16 days, the 6 men are battered by a gale. The waves in the Drake Passage are known as Cape Horn rollers, massive walls of water stretching for a mile from crest to crest. They are constantly soaked. Their sleeping bags are disintegrating in the damp. They navigate only by brief glimpses of the sun through the storm clouds. Worsley, the navigator, has to brace himself against the mast, waiting for the boat to rise to the top of a swell, just to catch a single star with his sextant. 1 degree of error means missing the island and vanishing into the open ocean. The cold is their worst enemy. Ice forms on the deck and rigging, weighing the boat down. The men have to crawl out onto the slippery, having canvas in the middle of the night to chip the ice away with tools. Then, at midnight on the 7th day, Shackleton sees a line of clearing sky to the south. He calls out to the men that the gale is breaking. A moment later, he realizes his mistake. It isn't the sky. It is the white foam of a rogue wave, so large it blocks out the horizon. It strikes them with immense force. For 10 minutes, they bail for their lives, exhausted, until the boat miraculously resurfaces. They are still afloat. On May 10th, they spot Black Cliffs, South Georgia. But the ocean has one final test. A hurricane hits the island just as they approach. For 9 hours, they are battered against the coast, unable to land. They finally crash land in King Haakon Bay. They are alive, but they have landed on the wrong side of the island, the whaling stations. And the ships that can rescue them are on the north coast. Between them and rescue lies the interior of South Georgia, a maze of glaciers and jagged peaks that has never been crossed by any human being. The boat is too damaged to sail around. They have to walk. Shackleton takes Worsley and Crean. They leave the others under the overturned boat and begin the climb. They have no climbing gear. They have no tents. They put screws from the lifeboat into the soles of their boots for grip. For 36 hours, they march without sleep. At the top of a steep ridge, fog begins to roll in. If they get caught, they will freeze. Shackleton makes a daring choice. They sit on their coiled ropes and slide blindly down the mountain into the mist, sliding 1,500 feet in seconds. They land in a soft bank of snow at the bottom. Fate is on their side. On May 20th, the station manager at Stromness hears a strange sound. Dogs barking? No. It is 3 men walking out of the wilderness. Their hair hangs to their shoulders. Their clothes are tattered and stained with smoke. They look like ghosts from another world. The manager asks, "Who the hell are you?" The man in the center straightens his back. "My name is Shackleton," he says. "We have lost our ship. It takes 4 attempts and 4 different ships to get back to Elephant Island through the pack ice." But on August 30th, 1916, more than 4 months after the lifeboat left, Shackleton returns on the Chilean tug Yelcho. As they approach the beach, Shackleton peers through his binoculars, counting the tiny figures on the shore. He lowers the glasses, turns to Worsley, and speaks the words that define his legacy. "They're all there, Skipper. They're all there. Not a single member of the 28-man crew of the Endurance was lost. It remains the greatest survival story in the history of exploration. A failure of a mission, but a triumph of the human spirit." Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. See you on our next adventure.